Hey, everybody, it's your lovely Lotus Blossom Lizzie, and today I'm going to show you how to make a super easy junk journal that you can use. And I'm also going to be doing a bit of junk journaling in the next video. So I split these up so it would be quite short for you. So don't worry, I'm going to post these at the same time so you can binge out on it. So, the first thing, of course, you want to do is pick out a magazine, and this is a free magazine that I picked up when I was out and about. And I just made sure it just had a few pages that I would be able to use, and it's kind of the size that I wanted. And then the next thing I decided to do was to paste some pages together. And I'm just using some purple stick glue, which is kind of my favorite. It's my favorite glue to use. And I'm just gluing 2 pages together. And I'm also using my brayer to make sure everything is kind of flat. Now, if you use a wet type of glue on these type of pages, which are kind of like that shiny magazine page, it's going to bubble up. So if you put moisture on this page, it's going to bubble up. So the stick glue is dry enough where it doesn't do that. But if it does, you can always just place your book or magazine under some heavy books or something heavy to flatten it out and to leave it that way, and you should be fine. I'm not I don't really care too much if it has like some bubbling up. That's not a big deal for me. So as I was going through the book, I kind of ripped the page off by mistake. So what I did was I pulled out a stapler, and yes, you all, this monster is a stapler. Y'all, I got this at one of my favorite flea markets, and actually it was a thrift store. I purchased it to sell, but when I figured out what it was, I was like, I'm keeping that. I'll put a link below if I can find some for you, but I will tell you they are not cheap. So I'm definitely keeping that one. You can also reinforce your spine with more staplers using a long reach stapler, or a regular stapler. There's ways to do it. I didn't demonstrate it in this video, but you can use some string, you can sew it, but I definitely recommend that you reinforce it. I also wanted to mention that I actually recorded this video on kind of sort of a marathon session over on the Patreon channel. So if you want to see more videos like this in their entirety, with me chit-chatting with you, you can head over to patreon.com and it's /Liz for a day. And all the links that I mentioned and the things that I use, I will put a link below in the description. And also, I forgot to mention, if you love videos like this, please make sure you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up for easy junk journal making. It actually didn't take me that long to make this junk journal. I would say it probably took me, just because I was taking my time and chit-chatting, not more than 20 minutes. So you can't beat that with a stick. Now, if you have been watching my channel, and if you are new, just know that I love sewing, so I will be doing some sewing on this journal. But if you're new and you don't have a sewing machine, you definitely do not have to do any sewing at all. You can just do the gluing like you're doing here. You can use some washi tape where I am putting on fabric, and you should be good to go. So I have all the pages now are all glued together, and I'm very happy with the actual product. So y'all, I had to think about like what I was going to do next, because when I originally recorded this video, I didn't really have a process in mind. I kind of knew a few things that I wanted to do with this journal, but I just wasn't sure. So I got out a few pieces of scraps, and I promised myself to only use scraps, because my inclination was to go and get some fabric and start ripping up, which is, that doesn't make any sense. So I took out a bag of my scraps, and for the spine, I actually just put a nice little piece on there, and I decided that I was going to do some sewing on there as well. So I got the whippersnapper out, and the whippersnapper is my brother SQ9185 computerized sewing machine. And I call it the whippersnapper because, the whippersnapper's kind of young. I actually only had the whippersnapper since last year, I think. No, I think I've had the whippersnapper for over a year now. The whippersnapper's like 1 year old. So I had to change the thread, and I'm going to tell you, you don't have to be like super tough on yourself when it comes to this. If you are using a sewing machine, I used mismatch thread. I used the top thread as one color, and then I used the bobbin thread for a different color. And the reason why I did that is because the bobbin thread, I didn't have any more thread for that anyway. And y'all, this is a junk journal. Mismatching is good. I love mismatching stuff. So I just wanted to pull you all down with me so you can see a little bit of sewing. Because I don't know about you all. And you can let me know in the comments. Do you like watching people sew, or would you have preferred for me to just cut this piece out? Because I love watching people sew. I even like the sound of the sewing machine. But of course, I couldn't give you all that sound right now because, I'm doing the voiceover. So you don't get the sound of the sewing machine. But I'm just going to show you a few pieces that I sewed on. So I did put some glue under that particular piece of fabric. I just used a little bit of the stick glue to hold it in place, and that worked perfectly. And I know what you all are saying. Oh my gosh, you use glue on your sewing machine. Yeah, I mostly use my sewing machine for making the books, and I don't think that little bit of glue is going to ruin it. I try to keep the machine clean and just clean the needle and things when I get finished, and so far it's been good to go. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some fabric on the edges of the paper. Now this is definitely where you could use washi tape. So don't be afraid to pull out that old washi tape and put your washi tape on the end. For me, I love, love, love the feel of the fabric. And so I decided that was the route that I was going to go. And I just used a plain stitch. I didn't use anything fancy because I wanted to get this done quick, because I have to say, I am so indecisive when I am using different stitches, and it takes me twice as long to sew things. So I decided that I was just going to use a zigzag stitch, and everybody has a zigzag stitch if you have a sewing machine. So I did each page, and I'm going to spare you all the pain of watching me do all the pages. In this particular magazine, it was only, I think, I had to do maybe about 5 or 6 pages, and so it was all good. Now what I'm doing is I am changing out the bed of this, because this particular sewing machine actually comes with like a table, and it was much easier for me to use that table piece to put my fabric on. So if you have that, then this is a good time to use it. And this was actually the first time that I used it with my machine. I had almost forgot that I had it, and it's sitting right by my desk as well. It was still in the box, and I had to take it out. So I just randomly selected some pieces of scrap. I didn't care what color it was. I did kind of care what size it was, because I wanted to make sure that I was able to fold it over to the other side. So just keep that in mind. Now, you could just sew it on one side of the paper, but it does double duty if you can fold it over and just sew through it. So that's exactly what I did. And I was completely thrilled with how it came out. And it makes me want to just kind of like hold kind of hold the book and I can feel like that fabric on the side. I'm a totally tactile person when it comes to junk journaling. I was trying to figure out like why I like junk journaling so much, and that is one thing. I just love the feel of the pages and the interactiveness of it. And I know for a beginner, if you're a newbie, sometimes it's just hard to know where to begin. Well, this is like the best way to begin. You don't have to purchase a book. You don't have to worry about buying a book from a thrift store. You can use some junk mail and just get started this way. It's just totally doable. But if you need a book, I have them for sale over in my Etsy shop. Shameless plug at pleasantcreations.com. Link below. So I have all of them. I think I have one more page on here that I wanted to demonstrate. I probably could have cut some of this out, but yeah, I wanted to really show you just how easy it was. And even though I have this sped up, it really didn't take me that much time to do. The whole video with me junk journaling and putting this together was about an hour and a half. But I made sure that I sped it up so I wouldn't bore you all to tears. But I thought that was good enough. So you can see me kind of pulling out some scraps. And I actually have some scraps for sale over in the Etsy shop as well. Some of these scraps, types of scraps are included. And it just so happens I still had some left, thank goodness, for my book. Because I'm trying to do a serious de-stash. Because I have more than I can use myself. But of course, when you get ready to get rid of things, that's when you want to use it. Because it is the land of ideas, I call it here. Everywhere I turn, I see something and I'm like, I can make something with that. I can make something with that. Do you all do that? And of course, I don't have time to make everything. So I'm trying to be more methodical about what I'm working on, because I'm also the queen of multitasking. And sometimes that doesn't get you anywhere. So I think I have one more page on here, and I had like some really nice red fabric that I wanted to use on here. So you can see again, this fabric is like all different sizes. It didn't really, they didn't really look like they matched, but once I put everything together, it was like, the randomness of the fabric makes it match. Now, y'all don't go tearing up your clothes and stuff, your kids' clothes to try to do this. If you have some raggedy fabric, then you can use that too. Because I always say use what you got. That's so important. All right, so we finally have that done. And we could go ahead and we can move the whippersnapper out of the way. So now I thought about doing some more things with the cover, but I really like the way the cover look right now, so I'm okay with that. So the next obstacle I had is I was thinking the pages are so slick. Should I gesso them? Should I not? Should I leave them? And what I decided to do was to get some sandpaper out. I had to improvise a little bit because I didn't have a sanding block. Yeah, I got this sandpaper at not a garage sale, but it was an estate sale when Bobby was here with me. Bobby is my sister cousin, and I got a whole stack of sandpaper for like $2. I'll probably never be able to use all of it. Unless I start doing some stuff around the house, then that might be a whole different story. But the only thing I did was kind of ran the sandpaper over the pages just really lightly, but it had like a little bit of a that sandy feel when you sand stuff off. So I got a wet wipe and I wiped it. Now the problem with that is that I was using some good wet wipes. They were Pampers, and so they had a lot of moisture. So once I wiped the page real good, the pages started wrinkling up a little bit, and I didn't want to do that. So I just made sure after that to like really just lightly take the wet wipe and just, pick up any of that dust that was coming up off the pages. And when I was doing this, I couldn't really tell when I was recording it, but you can really see where I'm sanding it sanding the paper down a little bit. And again, I'm just taking off like that shiny coating, because when you're gluing things down to the page, it needs some tooth. The page needs some tooth so that your things will stick down. So as long as that shiny coating is on there, it's a bit hard for you to be able to do that. So if you all have ran into this problem before, this is a good solution, I think. If you have another solution, I am all ears, and I would love to hear it. So put in the comments if you sand your pages down. Would you prefer to put gesso on it? How do you keep your things how do you keep it so that your ephemera is able to stick to the pages? There you go. Whew. I had a hard time getting that out, y'all. So the book itself is really colorful, and y'all, I even like all the magazine pages in it. It's quite kind of cool. If you all would like a book like this, just a basic book with some fabric on the side, and you can let me know if that's something that you're interested in, and I could put that together for you. And it took me a little bit of time to do, but it was a win in my eyes. So this is what the book looks like. So part 2, I'm going to actually do some junk journaling in here. And I wanted you to see how easy it was. So please make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and also subscribe. Leave a comment below, and then go to part 2 and see how I'm actually using the ephemera in this book, how easy it is to actually start junk journaling. With that, I'm going to say love, peace, and hair grease. From your sweet lotus blossom and lovable Lizzie, have a fantabulous day. And go watch part 2. Bye.